It's the magic of the musicals on Broadway, and you join me here at the moment in Showbiz Leicester Square, and it's amazing who you run into. This man who sat next to me now, I was walking through New York, and we bumped into each other, and you started talking. I'd got my umbrella up, and ironically, you're stood there with an umbrella now. Matt Lucas, nice to talk to you again.
That's right, actually. I was just thinking how unglamorous it is to be here, but then when we met, it wasn't very glamorous, was it?
Not really. Well, I was stood there with an umbrella that really was unnecessary because it wasn't raining. But we were sat here doing this interview, and we've had to put it up because it is necessary. It's kind of ironic, isn't it, really?
In a sort of way, yes.
In a kind of unfunny way.
Well, but you were hello there. You were out there to see lots of shows and things, weren't you?
Absolutely. And what were you doing out there? You weren't on the pull or something, were you?
No, I was out there. I was out there on a business partly, and also to see some shows as well. And I saw out of business. That sounds grand, doesn't it? I did see 5 shows when I was out there. I saw Into the Woods, the producers.
Right, hang on, back up a minute. Right, let's start at the beginning. Matt Lucas is the guy that everybody knows as George Dawes from Shooting Stars.
Yes.
But you've done so much comedy, and really, I think you're the last bastion of funny, dressy up comedy. Nobody else does it, really, do they now?
Well, there's not funny dressy up comedy. I suppose you could. No, I'll go with that.
Well, there aren't many other babies on TV as adults, are there, really?
No, or adults as babies. No. There's probably a good reason for that. No, I like dressing up. That's part of the escapism for me. That's what attracted me to playing Lee Bowery, actually, because there were.
And that's really the reason you're on, because we're sat literally a minute away from the venue, which is where Taboo appeared up till very recently, and it's going to Broadway. This is all going full circle, isn't it?
It is.
And you were in Taboo in the beginning, weren't you, as Lee Bowery, the outrageous character with some amazing frocks?
Yes, I was. I was in the workshop that we did, and the hello there. Hello.
So this is the kind of fame that George has got as Matt Lucas. They're all. Do you get this everywhere you go?
I get it particularly when I'm doing interviews in the rain in Leicester Square.
And this was your idea, though. It wasn't mine to sit in the middle of Leicester Square.
Well, no, but the Starbucks is full. So hello there. I was very attracted to doing the role of Lee Bowery. Should we pause this for a second?
No, it's fine by me. I think it's kind of showbiz that everybody knows who you are.
Well, I like dressing up as Lee Bowery. There were 7 different outfits, and 8 shows a week, 7 outfits and 7 different makeups, and that was lots of fun.
Now, you've done radio and you've done TV. Is theatre the most difficult form of medium? The fact that you are doing 8 shows a week and it's the same stuff that you're doing night after night?
It's pretty exhausting. I mean, particularly that role. But when you're filming, you're up at 5 in the morning and you get back at 8 or 9 in the evening. So that's also tiring. But that's fine. What I like about, obviously, when you're doing a TV show, you film stuff out of order and you're hanging around a lot. And the great thing about doing a play is you sort of do it in real time, and you start and 2.5 hours later you're finished, and that's great, really.
What is it like being you? Are you sick of having to be funny? Does everybody expect you to be funny 24 hours a day?
Well, I don't know. It's quite weird because if people sort of recognise you, then they just sort of laugh anyway before you haven't really done anything. It's quite odd. So, it's just quite odd. I think people, it's weird, but if you're doing a gig, then it usually goes quite well because the people that come and see you sort of know what you do and they like what you do and they've come to enjoy themselves. So you're very fortunate in a way,
You've almost got the advantage before you even start, haven't you? The fact that they know who you are, they know kind of what you do, so they're already on your wavelength. I suppose for somebody unknown, it must be the worst thing in the world doing comedy because they've got to kind of prove themselves.
I think so, but you do have to prove yourself in another way because there are expectations on you. But yeah, when I used to do stand-up, I used to really like shocking people, and for instance, one of the things I used to do was wear a wig, and I was 18, 19, and then it used to slip off during my act, and I used to carry on as if it hadn't happened, and people used to sort of gasp. And obviously now, although a lot of benefits to being recognised and getting the sort of work that goes with it, you can't shock people like that. But what you can do is try and bring some variety to what you do, which is why, for instance, I did Taboo, because it was very different from anything I'd done before. I hadn't really sung before, so that was an adventure.
I've seen it a few times, this show, and when I saw Julian Cleary doing it, it was a much different show to when even George had done it, because he kind of ad-libbed and he almost made it his own comedy act. I don't know whether that kind of worked as well. Did you do that?
I did it a bit differently. I mean, I had the sort of luxury of doing the workshop and then being in the very original cast, doing it first, and so it was. I think it's harder in a way to go into something because it exists and you've got to slot in. No, I was very keen on actually being as close to the real Lee Bowery as possible, and that was, I felt I wanted to put down something, sounds a bit, not arrogant, but a bit bold, but I wanted to try and be a bit definitive, only because I was the first person doing it, so I thought it's really important to get this right. And so I spent a lot of time researching it and tried to play him as I saw him rather than sort of do bits of my act. But I mean that's not, I mean everybody does it their way, so it's not saying, it's just how I chose to do it.
Ich bin Kunst.
Yeah.
And I'm not being personal, by the way, don't write in complaining. That's the big song from the musical that means what?
I am art. Yeah, I mean,
thank God for that.
Thank God. George is a really great songwriter, and that, you know, it's a fantastic score, I think. But going back to what you just said about how to play the role, I was very conscious, like Christine Bateman, who was doing my makeup every night and doing everyone's makeup. Her sister was married to Lee, and Mike Nichols and David Cabaret, who did the costumes for the show, worked with Lee on the costumes that he actually made, and they were sort of good friends with him. And Les Child, the choreographer, used to dance with Lee and was a close friend. So I think, you know, I was very aware that there were lots of people around who really knew him, and I actually felt I wouldn't really get away with anything less than really trying to be him.
It's much acclaimed, the show. Let's talk about you now. You're doing loads of stuff, radio, TV. Any more theatre planned in the near future? I
think probably I'm about to do this series for the BBC, which will premiere on BBC Three and then will go on BBC Two in the Comedy Zone, called Little Britain, which is the TV adaptation of a radio series that I write and perform with a guy called David Walliams, who I've been working with for many years. And if anybody knows Rock Profile, we do that show together with Jamie Thixton. But I think that will take up a lot of my time, and then most likely the next bit of theatre I do will be a live tour of that, you know, a big national tour of that. That'll be a couple of years away, I think. But I obviously would love to go and do another show, and I'd like to do another musical one day.
The scary thing about Taboo is it's such an intimate venue. You're literally amongst the crowd. I would hate that, because you can see the whites of people's eyes. If they don't like you, you can see it. That must put the fear of God into any performer.
Do you know what? The stand-up that I used to do, and even the comedy I do now, is quite divisive. I mean, plenty of people just think I'm dreadful, you know, and you know, and that's fine, you know. And I think I'm quite happy with that. I think you have to make yourself laugh and hope other people like it. You can't try and second guess the audience. And
also you have to remember, some people just don't have a sense of humour. I've come to realise that in life. You can't make everyone laugh. Some people were just born to be miserable. I don't know whether you've come across that.
Well, no, I don't. You know, I think that would be a get out for me to say, oh, they didn't like it and it's their fault. You know, I have to question myself a bit more than that. But in stand-up comedy, I've died many, many, many times. I've been booed off. I've been bottled off. That's happened. So actually, the intimacy of playing somewhere like the Venue, I felt quite at home in, really. And the response from the audience was always really nice, to be honest.
It is incredible, and it's going over to Broadway this autumn, as you say, and you were there. What did you enjoy? You mentioned Into the Woods. What do you think of that?
I thought Into the Woods was great, and I thought it was a beautiful production of it. They'd spent a bit of money on it, and it was great. And we didn't see, I think I was there in understudy week, because I saw the understudy to Vanessa Williams, but she was fantastic.
Oh, I got to see Vanessa, you see. We spoke to Molly Ephraim on this programme, who plays the little girl, and she's an incredible performer, isn't she?
She was brilliant. She was the best one in it, really. They're all great, but that was a fantastic show, and such an ambitious piece, but it kind of achieves all it sets out to, doesn't it?
Well, it's kind of one for the kids, but it's also got another level to it, which is really gruesome.
Oh yeah, it's a dark show. It's fantastic. I think it must be one of his best. I saw Anyone Can Whistle recently, which didn't really grab me, and I didn't really go for Follies, but I don't think I saw a great production. But what I did see was Merrily We Roll Along, the production that had been at the Donmar, and I saw it at the Albury. And sorry, Merrily We Roll Along at the Donmar, and then Company at the Albury, which had also been at the Donmar, and they were both absolutely terrific. And also, I think that one of the best things I've seen in years was Opera North's production of Sweeney Todd, which was at Sadler's Wells last year. Did you see it?
I didn't actually. No, I didn't catch that.
It was tremendous, and I thought that should just go straight into the West End. I thought people would have seen it.
What else do you think is great at the minute in the West End or on Broadway?
I tell you what isn't great was at the Full Monty close, because I thought that was fantastic, and I was really, really surprised, because I thought that had the perfect mix of kind of art and commerce, really.
Big Ass Rock did it for me.
Yeah, Big Ass Rock is one of the most brilliant pieces. It's hilarious, and I think You Rule My World is a great song, and Scrap, that big opening number is really dynamic. What else is on? Well, I enjoy Giles Brandreth's Zip.
I'm going to see that next week. I've not seen it. I'm really looking forward to it. Any good?
Yeah, it's a laugh. It's a really funny show. It's a review, really. There's 5 of them, and they just take the mickey out of all the musicals. And then after the show, if you go down to the bar as a kind of extra, deleted scene or whatever, they have a piano in the bar, and there's a big sing-song with all the cast and the audience. It's just
fantastic.
Lovely.
And being a comedian, I'm sure the bar is a second home, really. It must be.
No, I'm not a big boozer, actually, and I didn't really grow up going to pubs. I'm a Jew, so we eat rather than drink. And I also always associated pubs with stand-up comedy, because all the early clubs I played at were pubs, and so I always had to be sober around them, and seeing other people getting really drunk. I think you have to drink if you're watching my act. I don't know. I've never been a big boozer. The heroin is good. No, that's a joke. No, don't quote me.
Leave it. This is the BBC. Listen, tell me.
I'm clean and dry. I'm a good boy. Trust me.
Any more plans to go to Broadway in the near future?
I'd like to go out there. I might have a bit of work on out there. So I really do hope to be back there. Yeah, I'd love to be out there, yeah.
Well, let me know. Any chance to come over and see anything over there, or just an excuse to go to New York's good enough for me, so we'll come and talk to you there.
Okay, it's a deal.
Matt Lucas, we better go, because there's a crowd of about 400 people gathering around us here in Leicester Square. The police have arrived.
About 300.
Yeah, well, 5 actually, but it's good for our ego, isn't it? Nobody would really have known.
Yeah.
Matt Lucas, you're a big star. Congratulations on Shooting Stars. You really made that show your own, along with Vic and Bob. Everybody talks about it. You must love that programme.
Oh, it's really great fun to do, and it's I still love working with Vic and Bob, and with Johnny Vegas and Will and Ulrika. It's a really happy show to work on, and I think that shows really, the audience can see that.
You know what really makes me sick about some performers when I interview them? I talk about what made them most famous. I can't remember her name, a lady from Neighbours, Madge, and somebody, Charleston.
Yeah.
They banned me from talking about her character on Neighbours, which she'd been in for like 10 years and was part of most people's, growing up if they were under 30.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's sad when you resent the character that made you famous. There's something wrong with that, and I'm glad that you really like the show, because it is fantastic. It's still very, very funny, which is so rare.
Yeah, I do. I think I've been really, really lucky. We did Shooting Stars from 95 to 97, and then we had 4 years when we didn't do it, and people kind of remembered it, and people still talked about it, and I did lots of other jobs. I've been really lucky in terms of having lots of work, but I'm very aware now, probably more so than I was a few years ago, that a hit is quite a rare thing, and it's a real privilege to be in a show that people are aware of and remember and hold dear. So I think you can't take that lightly, and if that's the thing people remember me for, even if I keep going for another 20, 30 years, then I've got to be grateful that they at least know me from something,
Well, it should be a pension fund. They'll keep replaying it on UK Gold,
Yeah, I get tuppence for that, but yeah, if I want to live in a box, then yeah.
Listen, thank you. Thank you very much for stopping me in New York and talking to me. I wouldn't have talked to me, to be honest with you. I got to be honest with you. I appreciate that, and thanks for talking to us today in rainy Leicester Square.
That's a pleasure. Now go and see Taboo. You're missing it.
I must go. I'll have to dash. I'll see you later, Matt. Ta-da.
God bless. All the best. Good luck.